Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Prasad. I am the president for Alpha Lehman. Alpha is the Association of Latino Professionals for America, and we are a national organization that seeks to empower young leaders for impact. With students in professional chapters in almost every state, students have access to professional development such as career building, mentorship, and internship opportunities. I am delighted to join you today as Lehman College and PepsiCo begin a new partnership that is designed to provide exciting opportunities for us Lehman students. I am equally delighted to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Jose Luis Cruz, president of Lehman College. He is widely regarded as one of the nation's leading advocates for educational equity for all students, particularly those who have been historically underserved. He has an impressive profile, having served in both the academic and administrative sides of higher education, rising from a college professor to provost, then a vice president of student affairs to president. Along the way, he worked at the Education Trust in Washington, D.C., advocating for higher equity in higher education. Here at Lehman College, President Cruz has worked diligently in expanding learning opportunities for his students through exchange programs with Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Mexico, and through partnerships like the one we're celebrating today. President Cruz's bold challenge, called 90 by 30, seeks to grow the number of market value diplomas and certificates Lehman students will earn from 45,000 to 90,000 by the year 2030. This opens opportunity for higher education throughout the Bronx and beyond. I am so pleased to introduce Lehman's visionary and dynamic leader, Dr. Jose Luis Cruz.
Good afternoon. And to all of our guests here today, welcome to Lehman College of the City University of New York, the only CUNY senior college in the proud, storied, and resilient borough of the Bronx. I want to start off by thanking Dr. Pam Mills, Interim Dean of the School of Natural and Social Sciences, Dr. Dean Hurley, Chair of the Lehman Department of Economics and Business, and Lisa Roche, also from the Department of Economics and Business, for all of their work in putting this event together. Let's give them a big round of applause. Our celebration here today, and it is a celebration of the start of a new partnership and collaboration between PepsiCo and Lehman College, can be credited to PepsiCo North America CEO, Al Carey, for his strong interest in expanding career and learning opportunities for Lehman students. I am very grateful to Al and his team, especially Marisa Solis, for their commitment to the future successes of our students and for their vision and guidance in moving our work together forward. It is essential that students embarking on professional careers in business, marketing, and management have a comprehensive understanding of the cutting-edge processes that bring sustained success. In this new partnership, PepsiCo and Lehman College will be able to offer important, life-changing opportunities to students that will help them advance their careers and become the next generation of business leaders. Today, we are inaugurating the PepsiCo Leadership Speaker Series, which will be held once in the fall and spring semesters. The PepsiCo Lehman College partnership will offer Lehman students 4 other programmatic opportunities to interact with professionals who are actively shaping the business landscape, many of whom happen to be former Lehman College students and proud graduates. Students will make regular trips to the PepsiCo headquarters in Purchase for presentations by different PepsiCo teams. Students will also work with the company's marketing managers in creating case studies for Lehman's business courses, and a case study contest is also being planned as well. Additionally, PepsiCo will be looking to recruit students at Lehman's Career Fair each March. PepsiCo's executives will also participate in a career advisory board to provide feedback and suggestions for improving the business curriculum in Lehman's Department of Economics and Business. I am tremendously excited for our students and faculty members as they begin to work and engage with PepsiCo's executives and professionals. The learning and discovery that will take place, the insights and connections that will be made, these are remarkable opportunities that spark careers filled with achievements and success. Thank you very much, and enjoy the panel here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Dean Hurley, Chair, Economics and Business.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce our first PepsiCo panel today. It's a mid-career managers panel, so it's going to be moderated by Gustavo Cecilio of PepsiCo, who we've been working very closely with over the last few months to collaborate many events, including this particular speaker series. So can the panelists come on stage and take a seat, please? Thank you. Gustavo Cecilio is the marketing director at PepsiCo, leading the Affordable Snacks global business in Purchase, New York. He's responsible for developing the business in emerging markets. Gustavo joined PepsiCo in 2011 as a marketing manager in Brazil before moving to PepsiCo headquarters in Purchase. Gustavo will moderate the 4 panelists on the topic of From Classroom to the Boardroom. These panelists are all mid-level managers at PepsiCo, and I will be introducing them in alphabetical order. The first one is Carolina Quintana Bringas. Would you like to?
Yes, so hi everyone. Thank you for having us. It's our pleasure. We're very excited. My name is Carolina, and I've been with PepsiCo for 3 years now. I work in finance, specifically for FP&A PVC top line, which is essentially the financial planning and analysis team for our bottling system across the U.S. And yeah.
And the next one is Lisette Lemboy. Lisette, would you like to say something? Would you like me to say? Lisette is a facilities planner for PepsiCo's global real estate department. In her role, she supports the VP and Director of Facilities and Senior Facilities Manager and Collection Specialist with management of the conservation of multi-million-dollar sculptures at PepsiCo's famous Donald Kendall Sculpture Garden at the headquarters in Purchase. Lisette graduated from Lehman with the BS in Health Services Administration. We also have Andres Restrepo. Andres is an Associate Finance Manager supporting planning processes for North America Beverages, which is PepsiCo's largest sector, yielding $21 billion in net revenue, $3 billion in operating profit, and $3 billion in cash flow. His primary responsibilities include financial analysis of key beverage brands like Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Gatorade, and Tropicana, which are used for external reporting during earning releases. He earned his BBA in finance from Lehman College, where he also played on the soccer and tennis teams.
Go Lightning.
Michael Saldana is a corporate tax administration analyst in the PepsiCo bottling division, where he works predominantly on state and local tax-based work, handling state appointment as well as return filings for all 50 states. He's also responsible for ensuring that tax laws and provisions are followed, and for attending to every tax aspect that pertains to the bottling division, ranging from manufacturing to advertising. He graduated from Lehman also with a BS in accounting. And I'm very happy to say that both Andres and Michael were very active members of the Lehman chapter of Alpha when they were here. So it's my honor to welcome all the panelists here today, and in particular, I'd like to say welcome back to our alumni. It's a great pleasure to have you back on campus, and we look forward to your more involvement going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is my microphone working? Okay. First of all, thanks everybody for coming here. It's great to see. I was not expecting all of these people, and it's great. We feel very, very excited. And we can see we feel very comfortable as well, because this couch here is just amazing. Almost like I seated here and I fit very well. The idea is we're going to have this panel, and you could see by their experience that they have been doing a lot of stuff in PepsiCo and a lot of very important stuff. But not long time ago, they were graduating here in the school. And the real objective of having this conversation is to understand what was this path from being in the college and now being PepsiCo, doing completely different roles. And we have some questions. We're gonna let them talk about a few things, and then we're gonna open for you to ask questions as well and take advantage of this very good and very smart panel we have here. So I'm gonna get started and ask you guys a few questions, and you can all answer the same question, or you can feel like, okay, I'm gonna pass this one. It's very flexible, okay? The first question I have is, how did you ended up getting into this field, getting into PepsiCo, doing what you do now? And you don't need to tell from I was a baby, and but you gotta just frame from what you did at school, and then how you look for opportunities in the market, and how you ended up being in PepsiCo. So we can start with you.
I can kick it off, yeah. So for everybody, I'm Andres Restrepo. I'm a proud Lehman alum. I graduated in 2013 with a finance degree. So to answer Gustavo's question, I transferred in as a sophomore. And my first kind of focus was on, I'm going to get on the soccer team. We're going to win some championships. And that's about it. I'll figure everything else later and, maybe do some good schoolwork. But after that, I started taking like the finance courses with Gonzalez Corzo, getting into the kind of the formulas, if you will, that are required. And it really like piqued my interest in, well, if this is what finance is about, maybe I like that. So kind of went from there to getting a couple of internships through the Inroads organization, which, is like a foot in the door type of organization for underserved youth. And got a lot of professional development along the way while I was an undergrad. So that by the time I graduated, I got the full-time offer, in October. And the rest of my senior year, I could just chill, right? So that's kind of the path. And from then on, it's just been a steady climb with a lot of sponsors along the way and a lot of good mentorship. And I think that's a good summary of how I got here.
Thanks. That's it?
I'm happy to answer.
Yeah.
So my journey was a little bit rocky, a little different, and so in 2005, I had graduated with an associate's degree in business management, and I didn't quite know what I was going to do with my degree, so I started just taking any job just for the sake of having one. I was an admin for a real estate office for several years, and in 2008, around the time where we had the financial crisis, they unfortunately had to let me go, so I had to figure out what my next steps were going to be. And it wasn't something that I thought so strongly about. I was young. I didn't feel, that rush to have to do that. But all of a sudden, I had to buckle down and figure out what I was going to do to put, to pay my bills and to forge a career. But it so happened to be, there was a lot of beauty in what happened after that. I ended up taking advantage of a free certification course for medical assistants. I learned that I excelled and really enjoyed the healthcare field. From there, I decided to join Lehman College and get my degree, my bachelor's degree in Health Services Administration and Management. And all of my jobs that I had after that were in healthcare. So I was an office manager at an audiology office. After that, I worked for a long-term children's hospital on the facility side. And from there, I became a program manager for Westchester Medical Center. And from there, I decided it was time for me to move forward. And fortunately enough, I had my current supervisor actually recruited me to work for Pepsi. We worked together in that long-term children's hospital many years back, and we had just remained in contact, and I felt like I needed to move forward. But I was also almost going to graduate from Lehman, and I always knew that my resume and all of the degrees that I were to obtain had to tell a story, and I didn't want to look confused. What I did learn being a program manager from Westchester Medical Center is that I absolutely loved to run projects. I was in their project management department, and I excelled in all of the projects that I was a part of there. And so that I knew that I wanted to take that into Pepsi, and that's what I'm currently pursuing. I received my project management certificate and my data analytics certificate recently, so I'm hoping to move into a position for project management so that I can travel with Pepsi, and I absolutely love it, and that was my journey.
Thank you. That's great. Carolina, you want to go next?
Sure. I'll give you the quick story on how I ended up in finance, I guess. So I'm originally from Mexico, and when I moved here around high school, I only was maybe like 2 years in or so, 3 years that you have to kind of, you know, start the college process, and I had no idea what I was doing. I'll be very honest. And so I didn't know if I wanted to end up going back to Mexico after graduating college. I knew that I was gonna study college here, or if I would stay here in New York or United States in general. So when I picked my career, I actually picked it thinking, hey, I need a career that I can work anywhere else in the world. A big hobby of mine is also traveling, so I would not mind working wherever. So then that's how I ended up in business, because business really moves the world in my eyes. And I knew, you know, business here and business in Mexico or wherever I would end up, similar concept rather than other majors. So that's kind of how I ended up in business, and I then decided that I was gonna study. So I have a double major in marketing and in finance. And then after, you know, graduating, I graduated a little bit early, and like a semester early, so I was like traveling, and then my dad is like, okay, Carolina, you've been traveling, and I know you graduated early, but it's kind of time to grow up and find a job. So there, I started just applying to as many jobs as possible. And I was lucky enough to land the job in PepsiCo within the marketing finance team. It was my first job out of college. And I loved it. And I've been there ever since. Like I mentioned, 3 years there. So it's worked out so far. It's been great, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Michael.
Hello, everybody.
Mike, you should be like looking at the audience. You're so charismatic.
These seats are so comfortable. So when I was a small baby, I actually knew that I wanted to be an accountant by the time I was around 16, 17 years old. I grew up extremely poor. I didn't have a lot of parental supervision. I was working 3 jobs coming through college and going to school full-time. So I was doing that, then actually, you guys gotta look at me like kind of barbaric, but I was doing kickboxing on the side on a high level, so I was actually getting paid to do that for a while.
Message, don't mess with him.
Sorry. Avoid the CTE, guys. I just knew that like once I took a class in high school actually when I was 16, I think it was my sophomore year. It was an accounting class, and I kind of fell in love with like just the dynamic of being on top of things and keeping your journal entries in place and making sure everything balanced out. And I said, wow, this is easy. And after that, I pretty much just said, wow, there's a lot of stability and like money to be made in accounting. So I pretty much just pursued it from there. After that, I went to the Alpha convention. Shout out to all the Alpha people in the crowd. Got my job with KPMG, worked there for 2 years. Actually networked at one of the conventions there for job training with a manager and associate, and then I networked my way into Pepsi. And that's pretty much how I got to Pepsi.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Michael. It is very exciting to hear you guys saying, because when you're looking at your career, sometimes you feel that you need to know everything in advance, almost like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And some of you, you knew. Some of you, you had no idea. But you're all here, and you're all successful. So we don't need to put all of this pressure. We just need to be very persistent. We just need to to have that end game. I'm gonna be someone, I'm gonna work, and then it's gonna work out. It's just keep going, and it's great to see that it's coming very well in the end for all of you guys. The other question I have for you is, when you are in college, you learn a lot of things, and in several different disciplines, you know theory, and sometimes you feel that some of the theory you're never gonna use, sometimes you feel that you don't know. How this was for you guys? What is the one thing you guys remember from college that you used a lot in your work? And it doesn't need to be in a specific discipline, but what are the things you remember you're still using it until today? And I'm gonna do the inverse. I'm gonna start with you now, Michael.
Oh, really?
Put you on the spot.
I think what I use predominantly in my job, because I'm more of a tax accountant for the internal services in Pepsi. The tax class, if any of you guys took Gary, yeah? That class in particular, you're gonna learn a ton because you learn, you learn more about individual taxation. I deal particularly more with corporate and partnerships. But just having that groundwork is gonna help elevate you into your job. I think as well as principles 1 and 2, I think once you master your basics, everything else pretty much falls into place.
Carolina.
For me, I might go a little bit outside of the usual. I feel like college for me was more of experience to learn life skills. And what I actually do on the job on a regular basis was mainly learned on the job. I was fortunate enough to get a job within what I studied. So yes, general concepts and things of that nature definitely helps. But I would say life skills, right? Like you do a lot of growing throughout college. Organizational skills, people skills are huge. I think that was something that really stood out for me, and how to verbalize yourself, how to network, things of that nature is what I took out of college more. And on my job day to day, I love learning from people. I ask why for like everything. I'm always like, why? So I've learned more about the job that way. Yeah.
Thank you. Lisa.
So, a lot of what I use in my day-to-day is just the concept of different theories and models. Because I work on the facility side, and in projects also they have a life cycle. So, so understanding why certain theories and models that came about and following them, but also coming outside of that and adding your own individuality. Definitely some soft skills. It's one thing to learn what you're gonna learn in school, but getting to navigate the real world and deal with different personalities, you have to gain tough skin, and you have to learn to be observant to your environment, and being resilient. The one thing I can tell people is to learn how to be resilient, because things always change, and you just have to have a plan A, B, and sometimes a C, and make it work. And maybe I shouldn't be saying this on the record, but fake it till you make it sometimes.
They cut it this part.
If you start to build that confidence in yourself, other people will see that in you too, and just pushing forward.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance, and you're coming new into an organization, and depending on the level that you come in at, you're either expected to know a foundation, you're either expected to know, you're expected to be a subject matter expert. But as somebody coming like out of college, I think the expectation from you is really to have an open mind, ask why, and to just be curious all the way through, especially in the early stages of your career. That curiosity is paramount to like actually, gaining more responsibility as you go along. So what I learned in school predominantly was that stuck with me actually to this day is around the investment analysis. And you think about investment analysis, it's tailored more towards the financial services, right, portfolio management or whatever. But I work at PepsiCo in a CPG, and I'm doing portfolio analysis on brands, right? How much money are we getting from a corporate lens on PepsiCo versus Dew versus Tropicana? where is our overall portfolio moving towards as consumers change? So then you get into this marketing aspect, and as a finance major, you never think about the marketing piece. But these are things that are affecting everything. We all work kind of in unison in this one thing that we're all kind of projecting forward. So the primary thing for me was investment analysis, and in all the analysis that I do today, those kind of was the foundation for me. And in most of my finance roles was just that foundation of the concept, the mathematics behind it, and then knowing what to apply when to tell the story that needs to be told.
That's great. That's great. Thanks, guys. When Dean was announcing and she was introducing us, I was hearing that, and she was talking about our work, and it sounds so complicated, right? It sounds like, when I think about what I do and what she was saying, oh, that sounds so complicated, and even like a lot more than it is. The question I have for you guys is, how a normal day looks like. What do you guys do? If you try to talk to, it's like not in the technical way. What do you guys do in a normal day? We can start with you.
Yeah, I'll start, because I'm probably unique and she knows. So I support basically our sector CFO. So if you think about PepsiCo is headquartered in Purchase. We have a beverages division, which is headquartered in White Plains. I support the CFO of the North America Beverages. So my day is not the same day to day. There are days where I have like a set agenda that I want to complete from 9 to 5. And at 9:01, my vice president will come in and say, I've got this, and this from Nick, and we need it from like yesterday. So it's that kind of like, okay, well, I need to get on my horse and get on this right away. But then, you finish that, you send it off into outer space, and then you kind of come back to Earth on, all right, this is what I actually wanted to do today. And a lot of times you find that what you were going to do from 9 to 5, you end up really starting at like 4 p.m. But then what I've enjoyed about my role is that I actually do have the flexibility to, kind of, if I can complete whatever I have to complete at 5 o'clock, I know that I have the flexibility to save the rest for the next day, and hopefully there are no fire drills the next day. But yeah, so no days are the same, but basically that's what my day looks like.
Okay, thank you. Lizette, what about you?
Again, I work on the facility side, so no day is really the same. Generally speaking, what you would find me doing is answering emails for 2 hours, trying to just answer a lot of burning items, because when you're in facilities, everything is top priority. But what is actually priority and what needs to take place in that time? So dealing with a lot of contracts, vendors, building maintenance, managing staff. And then outside of that, there's always a ton of projects that are taking place. One of the ones that I'm working on now, which is I've been working on throughout the year, is workplace design, trying to align our sites globally, considering workplace impact, physical and service features, just to make sure that we're aligning sites globally to promote an agile workplace environment. So agile workspaces are, so Pepsi realizes that a lot of the talent is on the young side. So how do we get them to feel productive and what works with their individuality? So we have a lot of, besides your cube spaces, we also have a lot of breakout areas. We have the sculpture gardens that I manage, and seating out there, and then some of the services that we offer are employee resource groups and different areas where you can network. So just trying to align all of that, global strategies for varying sites. So that's what I've been working on a lot now. So yeah, and then just managing the garden.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Lizette.
I'll say, so for finance, depending on what function you work with, but in my case, being FP&A, it's super cyclical, right? So we support the field throughout the US, and so depending on the week of the period, we have like close week where we close the results, like how do we roll up, right? Then we have forecast week, like what do we predict, we're gonna be at ending the period, and we do that on a periodic basis, so every month. So I have close week, I have forecast week, and then week 3 and 4 are kind of like my catch-up weeks. I would say like anything else that I kind of have to get done would be put into those weeks. So aside from that, we do have major ad hocs, or what we call fire drills, as Andres touched upon, right, where you have all these deliverables, like the ones I just spoke about, but there's always something going on where, the field will be, or senior leadership in this case, I support one of the business units that rolls into Andres' team. And so they will come and be like, okay, you need to task your field because we need to achieve certain pricing. So then they come back to us, the analysts, and say, hey, find me opportunities. Where can I, what region can I task? What region can I not? Where are my risks? Where are my opportunities? What is our competition doing there? Like, can we take up pricing here? Can we not? Like, there's a lot of analysis and answer questions on a daily basis that come this way, that we need to, answer fairly quickly. So there's a lot of that. Even though there is a cyclical aspect of finance that goes into my job, there is a lot of fire drills that come with it that I guess add that excitement to the finance world.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Michael.
Let me sit up right. So essentially, we deal with a lot of the tax aspects of what goes on with the bottling division. I'm in the bottling division, and we particularly focus on forecasts that are upcoming. It's the simple cash accounting that we use to calculate our ETRs towards the end of the year. We have our quarterly payments where we make quarterly payments to each state, pending whatever's due at that time. And now, actually, which today's the last day, 10/15, is it's our busiest season where we have Q3 payments as well as return filings for partnerships and corps. So we're pretty busy throughout the year. Not as busy as we are for the last 2 months, but we are essentially dealing with every little tax aspect and trying to figure out ways to save the company money on a taxable level.
Okay, great. That's great. So it's all about, the good thing about it is that the days, they're different. So it gets very exciting, it gets very dynamic, right? And I think I was reading a very good book the other day that talks about the technology, the influence of technology, and saying that if you're gonna, all of the repetition types of jobs, they're gonna die. So it's about uncertainty, managing uncertainty, and be resilient, and all of these types of qualities and capabilities, right? The question I have for you guys next is, what are these qualities and abilities that they are important for being successful in your work? So I'm gonna start with Lisette now.
What are the qualities?
And abilities that you think they're important for you to be successful in your work, in the company.
Cliche, but learning how to deal with different personalities.
It's not cliche, it's like very, very important.
You have to be really good at finessing different personalities so that you can get what you need to get the job done and people feel heard. So yeah.
I can definitely speak to it. So again, depending on the job that you get, but definitely people skills is a major skill that you need in order to be successful, into my eyes. You have to be super organized, guys. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to be able to understand how to prioritize your deliverables, because they will change every hour if possible, and it's very important to be able to stay on top of it and be able to handle that stress, right, that comes with it, and how to manage it. Communication skills are key in order to, I guess, navigate throughout the business. And in this case, finance, I think there's very little to none room for mistakes, because numbers don't lie, right? Numbers are facts. It is what it is, so you need to be extremely buttoned up with your numbers, especially when there's high visibility. Like on my team, we're like at a top line level, so we oversee the whole umbrella of the P&L, right? And therefore, it goes high up the chain where you need to be able to explain those numbers. If any questions come back, you have to have your facts straight. So definitely be extremely buttoned up when it comes to the information that you're providing, because people will definitely take credit that you did your due diligence and things of that nature. So
Right. Thanks,
I think that's
Carolina.
very important.
I think we're now, I know that this audience here is also passionate to ask some questions to this great panel. So we're going to open now for questions from the audience. Please, sir.
Yeah, in 2006, Indira Nuri took over as the CEO of the company. So this is, I teach marketing and management. This is kind of like a fusion question. And she's retiring, so do you think she'll be replaced by another female CEO? And secondly, do you think more consumer product companies like Pepsi and Procter & Gamble need more female CEOs?
Okay.
I'm going to try to start with you, Carolina. What do you think about it?
So she's recently been replaced, right? They announced her replacement. Indra's amazing, by the way. I was like super proud of being in one of the top companies working for, a CEO that was a female. And we're sad to see her go, but great person's coming along. His name is Ramon, right? We're very excited. He has a great background and great skills. So to your question, she's being replaced by a guy, but we feel very excited for what's coming, right? They say change is good, and I do think PepsiCo does a good job at adapting to change as it comes, right? So I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Right. And I think you asked a second question, which is how do we think about having more female in the leadership, right? Which is, I think, is something very, very important.
Yeah.
And I think PepsiCo is looking for doing this more and more. Losing Indra as such a great leader, it's going to be a miss. And I think at this point in PepsiCo is how we're going to make sure that our vice presidents, they are getting there sooner, how we're making sure that a pipeline of talent is coming very strong as well. So I think the company is trying to do a lot of things to balance this better, because we recognize it's something very important for the future.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that? So just to add to that, on our PEP feed, what came up last week was that our VP of Operations, Grace Puma, she was recognized, I believe, as the second leading person in operations globally. So I was so impressed by that, as many of us are, especially women, and we don't typically reach out to people of that level so informally, but I just had to do it. And I sent her a very long, thoughtful email just thanking her, because for me, I'd eventually like to take a leadership role many years from now, but it's so awesome to see somebody help to begin to pave that way. So.
Yeah. And we're going to have the opportunity to talk to Marissa Solis today as well. So she's one of our vice presidents.
Yeah.
It's going to be good to hear from her as well.
And quickly adding to that, Gustavo, I would like to say that I do think PepsiCo does a great job at that diversity. We're definitely working hard on it, and we're aware of it and how important it is. So I'm really excited for what's to come, but we do a great job as a company to push for that diversity. Yes.
Great. More questions? Please, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
My name is Asman Kosovic. I'm the current secretary of Alpha. My question to the panelists is, what encourages you all to continue your careers in PepsiCo?
Who wants Andres, you wanna
Oh yeah,
take
for
this
me. For me, it's I'd say it's two primary things. One, a little selfishly, it's the exposure. The level of folks that I'm supporting, and then the places that my work goes are to people who make decisions, and pretty important decisions for the organization, on going forward. So for me to know that I have a part, and I'm not just like a cog in the machine, but I'm actually an influential piece of the puzzle, is kind of brings me over the moon. And then kind of secondly, it's like I come in kind of work every day. the seating arrangements are great. You know, Lizette's team's doing a great job.
Thank
So but then, you know, so I'm happy where I work. I'm happy with the people that I work with. And I know that I can lean on folks, not only on my team, but externally from the NAB FP&A team. If I have any questions or if I need help, you know, kind of if I have a knowledge gap in any way, you know, I just reach out and they'll kind of fill me in, and then I go on my way, and I know to leverage that going forward. So to have that kind of one constant source of knowledge at you know, the tip of your fingers, and then also knowing kind of you have a very prominent sense of purpose is something that keeps me going every day.
Yeah. So, for someone like me who's still trying to push forward into the next level, I feel like Pepsi is not only, like you said, a great name to have on your resume, but they're leading in the way that they train their talent and they retain their talent. And so when I interviewed, knowing that a lot of folks have kept their positions for multiple years, I knew, first of all, that was a place that I wanted to be a part of. And I wanted to find out what their recipe was, and I found out very quickly. So they have this thing called PDRs, where we have to put in 5 goals that they give us. I think 2 or 3 of them are short-term goals, and and the others are long-term goals. And it's something that they require of us, but it's also really good, because I'm a visual person, to see what my year is going to look like in advance, and that's the purpose of the PDR. And then you meet multiple times with your supervisor to find out where you're at, if there's any tips on, you know, what they might suggest for you to continue to grow in certain areas, how to tackle certain things. Of course, the workplace environment and the folks that we have, everybody is so busy, but always so available and happy to help if you have any questions, and I really appreciate that. It's a place where we prosper together, and from the folks that I've met, nobody holds their knowledge. They are happy to continue to pass that torch on. So those are the reasons why I love it there.
That's great.
I would say for me it's a sense of mixture of things. Definitely a sense of pride, where I love people asking me, what do I do for a living? And I'm like, I work for PepsiCo, and that's it. I don't have to explain more. Like, they know what PepsiCo is. It's a global company that's well recognized. I don't have to go into, this is what we do. Like, everybody knows who is PepsiCo, so I love that about it. Second thing, I would say the people. The culture in that company is so special, as my peers have touched upon, right? Where everybody, it's a healthy competition. Everybody's super smart. Everybody is highly, like, they work really hard. We all work really hard, but at the end of the day, we're all willing to help. And we want to, you know, we're working towards a common goal, and you feel that sense of that common goal that we're all trying to achieve. So we try to push forward together, and that's a great feeling. Aside from the day-to-day excitement of what we do, because it is I would say, somewhat of a changing environment in the business that we're in, right? So it is a couple of things, but I would say the people there are definitely special. The culture is special, yeah.
To answer your guys' question, I think what keeps me there particularly and makes me want to continue at Pepsi is my team. My team first and foremost. Like, we pretty much do everything together. Like, I was up extremely late last night, and my manager was up with me finishing up some returns. There's not many companies I know, well, you know, that have like a 10:15 deadline. They're gonna let you step out on 10:15. Well, look at the date. We do everything together. We're in the fantasy football league together. We play softball together. We have our own team on campus. We do numerous socials. We actually have a social in 2 days, you know, essentially, you know, celebrating the busy season and all of our hard work. And my team is, you know, they put me first and foremost. We help each other out when we have our own personal concerns. So some of us will levy some work off of each other and help each other out. And like even today, like I had 2 returns that had to get finished getting e-filed, and my manager took it upon herself, just said, you know, go represent us well, and, you know, I'll take care of this here.
Right, thank you. Thanks. And I think we had the Alpha group coming to visit our campus, right? I would encourage us to keep doing this, and all of you, because all the facilities that we have in PepsiCo, they promote this type of a connection between people. We have soccer tournament or sometimes, so then you get to know people, you get to like the people you work with, and this is what I'm hearing as a very important thing, right? More questions, folks? Thank you. Oh. Okay. I was not sure if you said.
Hey, Sarah here. My question is, what is that mindset that you guys had in college that helped you, you know, push forward to build, thinking about your career, you know, just like, you know, us college students, we're like, you know, helter-skelter, we're doing 3 million things at the same time. What is that mindset that pushed you forward that helped you be here today?
I guess I can speak to that. I mean, I had other goals that I knew if I wanted those goals to happen, I needed something to sustain them. Like I said, like traveling, for example. Like, yes, I love traveling, but you kind of need money to travel, things of that nature. So I've always kind of combined my goals, and I knew that I wanted like a steady job, a job that would supported my other common goals in life. Because yes, your job is a great part of your life, but it's not all of it. So to me, was the bigger picture, right? And I wanted a job that would also support my other goals in life. And so I kind of just, there's a very like push forward mindset in that sense, right? I saw myself a certain way in X amount of years, and I was like, X, Y, and Z is what I need to do to be able to be that and do that in X amount of years. So if you have that projection, it definitely helps. I'm not saying you have to, because a lot of it just kind of falls into place, but you have to work hard. There's no doubt about it, regardless of if you do know exactly what you envision or not. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. So as a college like student, you just want to get through school, right? That's your main goal. You're like, I just want to graduate. And then comes a job, and then you're like, I just need a job. And then you're in the job, and you're like, I now want a better position. Like, things that it will never end. So don't lose the bigger picture, guys. That will definitely make you move forward.
Right. I would like to thank you guys a lot for this great panel. I was inspired by everything you guys said, and I think they liked as well. So thanks a lot for participating in this. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much.